Hey guys, Captain Dylan Hubbard here at Hubbard's Marina, and it's time for that Sunday night live stream show. Welcome to the Sunday night live stream show, Off the Hook with Captain Hubbard. Appreciate you tuning in and hanging out with us tonight. On this wonderful Sunday, we always start our live stream show Sundays at 7:30 p.m. Appreciate you tuning in, hanging out. We're going to give away some free stuff. We're going to talk fishing. We're going to answer your questions. Talk a little bit about the weather, what's going on now, and more. Plus, we're going to be answering your questions live during the show. Tonight, we're focused on the old red snapper, the most overrated fish in the Gulf of Mexico. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, answer your questions, and more. And, of course, talk to our buddy, Capt. Mike Anderson, as well. Want to give a shout-out to our friends over there at Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. If you haven't stopped by and seen our friends at Gator Jim's Tackle, you're missing out. They have killer deals going on right now and always, and they have incredible selections. Check out Gator Jim's Tackle, 3301 Pinellas Point Drive South in St. Pete. They make this show possible along with our supporters group. Appreciate you guys in our supporters group. If you're not a part of our supporters group, you can join tonight. It's only $4.99 a month. The join button's right at the top of our Facebook page, and you get private access to our private supporters group, plus our after hours supporters only private after show after each Sunday night's live stream show. And then also, this show is brought to you and made possible by all of those sending stars. We had a lot of star senders who started us off right tonight. We had Larry White, Jim Evans, Ricky Shreve, Dina Cummings, Yukimi Barker, Nick Nieves. Nick Nieves had big 1,200. We also had Larry White with 500. Sam Lang with 490. Todd Stutzman, Richard Blazak, James McCollum with 500. Bob Bauer, Keith White, LaShonda Brown, Ricky Shreve, Brian Eakins, Todd Stutzman, Eric Seberg, Ashley Petit, Sean Gossier with a big 530, and then Eric Seberg with a big 1150. Appreciate you guys. Jasmine White, what's going on? Thank you all for tuning in and making this show possible. Really appreciate all the stars. Jessica Hinkle as well. Can't forget about you. Now, we are going to be talking tonight a little bit about inshore, nearshore, and offshore, what we are catching, what we're seeing. Then we're going to get into the weather a little bit, and then we're going to answer your questions live. Remember, if you have a question that you want answered live during the show, make sure you text in your question to the phone number on the screen. That way we can answer it live during the show. Craig Robinson, Brandy Hartung, and Tegwin Stockdale, appreciate you guys. Thank you for the stars as well. Now, let's get into some photos and show you guys what we're catching. As we get into the photos, don't forget, make sure you comment and let us know where you're watching from. Let us know where you're watching from. Also, don't forget to give the video a like for us. It really helps if you share the video as well to your favorite fishing club, to your timeline, to your friend's timeline. Don't forget the fee. It's a free show. We give away free trips. All we ask in return is that you tell one friend about the show each week. So make sure you tell a friend about the show and tell them to join us on Sunday nights at 7:30 p.m. And don't forget to share the stream. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Follow Hubbard's Marina on all our different social media pages. And make sure you like and comment when you see us post. It is always a huge help and helps us to reach more people as well. So keep that in mind as we move through tonight and into the week. John Bull, appreciate those stars. Adam Franklin with the big 500. Thank you, my friend. All right, let's move into some photos. We are seeing some pompano as of late. Pompano fishing is going well around the sandy passes, those sandy cuts adjacent to grass flats, the sandy edges, the beaches, the jetty, Johns Pass Bridge. We're seeing a lot of folks catch these pompano right around the Johns Pass jetty. So hopefully you have an opportunity to come out and join us and get a chance at some of those pompano. The redfish bite's been going really well for us around the area. We're seeing a lot of those redfish around the dock lines, upper bay areas. Cut dead bait up underneath the mangrove shorelines has been a real good option for those redfish. Plus, of course, the soft plastics around the grass flats and mangroves too, the oyster bars. Seeing a lot of those redfish at night on the dock lights and bridge lights. We're seeing a good redfish bite through the upper Tampa Bay area and back bay area. Snook action still going real well for us out there on the beaches, in the passes. Some big fish, some big breeder fish. This one's scarred up from that near shore breeding activity, and we see this pretty commonly on those beach and offshore snook. And we're seeing some big girls all throughout the area. This is Wader Dave here. This is our friend Scott Sadorf. Big shout out to our friends at Dogfish Tackle and Angler 360 who make Scott's fishing possible. This is Wader Dave. He actually does charters around the area. He's a big active member of the Salt Strong Fishing Club. You can check him out. Just Google Wader Dave in the Salt Strong Club and you'll find him. Definitely a lot of our friends in Salt Strong have been tackling some big snook out on the beaches. We're seeing big snook in the back bays too, around the mangroves, the flats, some pretty active snook action throughout the area. The snook are pretty stacked up around Johns Pass, especially kind of the back bay entrance to the bayous, Johns Pass area. We're seeing a lot of those snook. And out on the jetty too, Scott bringing his grandson and nephews out there catching some nice snook, and then of course some big old uglies, some big black drums around the back bay bridges. We're seeing some big black drums around the area too. The trout bite has been active throughout the area. This is a local Johns Pass angler who fishes all around the pass and surrounding areas, catching a lot of those speckled trout around the Johns Pass jetty and Madeira Beach in the early morning. We're seeing a lot of trout in the back bay around the flats. The trout bite is pretty prolific throughout the area, even around the bridge lights and dock lights, I meant to say. So seeing a lot of good trout action, snook action, and really going well. A few people are asking about the snook fishing. Definitely this time of year is when we see those snook really stacked up in the morning around Johns Pass. Some light tackle, some free-lined live shrimp, like 30-pound fluorocarbon, and a small, like 1/0, 2/0 hook, and a 30-pound test and real light braid floating through those bridge lights or dock lights. You're going to get bit. Landing that fish is a challenge with light tackle around the structures, but you can use heavier tackle. It's just harder to get bit. That's kind of the delicate balance that we run. Lighter tackle gets bit faster, but it's harder to land that fish successfully. Now let's move near shore and offshore and show you guys what we're catching near shore and offshore. Gag grouper is unfortunately closed. Remember, gag grouper don't open until September 1st. We are seeing some big gag grouper, but they are catch and release right now until September 1st, and then we can keep them. Gags are open September 1st through November 10th, but red snapper have opened. We are still seeing some hogfish action. We're not seeing as many hogfish, not catching as many, but we're still seeing plenty of them on our 5-hour half days, 10-hour all days, seeing some good hogfish action throughout the near shore waters. Red grouper going real well, have actually picked up for us yet again this past week. We saw an increase in the red grouper action, especially as we're fishing deeper for those red snapper. We've been seeing some really good red grouper action, some big fatties. And then the scamp grouper, we typically see quite a few scamp grouper as we fish deeper too. Really doing well on some nice scamps. Triggerfish have unfortunately closed as well. They are closed for June and July. So right now, triggerfish, gags, and amberjack are all three closed. We're really targeting those red snapper, red grouper, and then we're seeing those almacos, those porgies, yellowtails, muttons. My son and I got out there, did some fishing. He was tearing up the lane snapper and the white grunts. He caught this big bonita. I talked about this last week on the show. He caught a big bonita. It was out on the trolling line, and it took him forever to reel it in. It was pretty funny. my dad and him caught this little cobia at a nearshore wreck. It was a lot of fun. So Jack is hooked on fishing, and we don't have any red snapper photos for you tonight, unfortunately, but we've got a lot of them coming up. We had a really good start to our red snapper season. That kicked off June 1st for us. We had June 2nd, Flying Hub 2 went out there Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Unfortunately, they're not going to make it out there tomorrow. It's a little too rough. It was really rough the first day of season. Really, the second day of season, it was pretty rough too, but we were able to sneak out there. Tomorrow, it's just looking like it's too close to like 4 foot. It's going to get real rough on us. So unfortunately, the Flying Hub 2 can't make it out there tomorrow, but the 39 hour is out there right now, and hopefully catching a bunch of those red snapper for us. And definitely has been a little bit of a bumpy, rainy start to our red snapper season, but looking like we have a beautiful week ahead, and we're really looking forward to some nice weather and some good opportunities to get out there. John Bull, appreciate those stars. Anthony Barnes, Derek Gossier with another 300. Appreciate you, my man. Louis Canaveri, appreciate you with 500. Don Schuett with 400. Ashley Petit, and then D Beers with a big 1,000 stars. Appreciate you, D. All right, so with that, our last little photo display for you guys is the 44-hour catch that came in this morning. Hopefully you caught it on our Facebook or Instagram stories, or Snapchat or TikTok stories, but we want to make sure everybody had a chance to see it, so we're going to play this video here real quick so you can watch what the 44-hour brought in. And then next week, we'll have all those photos for you. So here's the 44-hour catch.
Just got back in from our first long-range red snapper trip. That 44-hour full moon trip just pulled back in, and we just piled up the fish to pass out to these guys. Big mangroves, big red snappers, some nice red grouper, some scant grouper, and looks like you guys had a pretty stellar trip, huh?
Yeah, we had a good trip. The night bite, we pretty much stuck with the mangroves at night, and as you can see, there is a nice pile of mangroves here. Did very well on the mangroves. A lot of people got their limit, and after daybreak, we slowly pushed offshore a little bit at a time, and finally got in a depth where we did well on the red snappers and stuck to it throughout the day, and had a little bit of current, but nothing crazy, but good red snapper bite. As you can see, we got a limit of red snapper.
Nice. Boat limit of red snapper, huh?
A boat limit of red snapper, decent on the more red grouper than we've been catching.
Nice.
And lots of mangroves, lots of lane snapper this trip too, and some big ones in there. You can't
Wow.
really see them, but there's some nice lanes in there. A couple big mangroves.
That's awesome, man. What was the hot bait for the red snapper?
I was hearing everything, but I like a big soft cut bait, like a piece of bonita or mackerel.
Yeah.
That they can chew on.
Some octopus, some squid.
Octopus,
but it doesn't much matter, huh? Red snapper will bite anything.
They'll bite a lot of baits, yes.
That's awesome, man. What about the mangroves? Do you know what the hot bait was there?
I would say small pinfish on the mangroves and small threadfin, just smaller pieces this time of year. They can be pickier.
Nice, nice. Is this the big boy red snapper right here?
I think this is the big one.
That's a solid fish.
Yeah, I haven't held many up lately, but 18 pounds.
That's awesome, man. That's a big one. So some blackfin tuna action. Was this on the troll or flatline or dropping a live bait?
Yeah, this was in a tangle.
This was
actually,
in a tangle.
And then eventually a tuna came out of it.
That's awesome.
And I think we had more than one on because it was something crazy happened.
So you were reeling up or dropping down, and all of a sudden a tuna got in the mix, huh?
Yeah, multiple people's lines were going, and we ended up with that one.
Oh man!
But we did find a small capsized boat out there, and
Yeah.
it was loaded with mahi.
Ah, so we ran across a capsized boat. Luckily, no one was hurt.
Yeah, nobody there. It was old.
Yeah, old capsized boat. Able to report it to the Coast Guard, and you guys found a school of mahi, huh?
Yeah, while we were reporting it to the Coast Guard, we let everybody fish and got some decent sized ones too, probably 26 incher or so.
Nice. That's
And
awesome.
We didn't stay long, but there was just so many of them there, hundreds and hundreds of them.
That's awesome, man. Pretty cool additional bonus to the trip.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, you guys got a lot of fish to cut. You got another trip today. You guys excited?
Oh yeah, we're fired up about How's the day?
All right, brother. Thank you, Will. Nice big pile of fish from our first long range.
All right. Hopefully you guys caught that this morning live. If you didn't, there is the show from that 44-hour. We've got the 39-hour out there right now, and our 12-hour stream has been hitting some really nice ones so far. A little north of 18 pounds is the big girl red snapper that I've seen, 18.4 pounds. So still plenty of opportunity to get the big red snapper on the season. Want to make sure we first give away a free trip. Then we're going to talk a little bit about some events and get into the weather as well. So let's see who won our 5-hour half-day trip. 5-hour half-day trip for 2 guests. 5-hour half-day trip for 2 guests goes to Brian Eakins. Appreciate you, Brian. That is another. So that's back-to-back shows. Last show, we had a Hubbard's Marina tattoo wearer win a free trip. This show, another one with Brian Eakins. He's got a Hubbard's Marina logo tattooed on his forearm, and he happened to be the lucky random drawing winner of the 5-hour half day for 2 guests. So congrats, Brian. Appreciate you, my man. And definitely a big part of our Hubbard's Marina family. Literally wearing the Hubbard's Marina logo. That's pretty awesome. So congrats, Brian. Let's see. We still got the 10-hour all-day trip to give away for 2 guests, the Hubbard's Marina swag pack, plus our 39-hour trip for 1 guest too. So still lots of giveaways to do tonight. Want to give a big shout out to our friend Lance Hall with a big 3,000 stars. Appreciate you, Lance. Ryan Kelly, Ashley Petit, appreciate you guys as well. Thank you all so much for all the stars tonight. Now, let's talk a little bit about some events we have coming up. We've got June 6th, our Bartow Ford Real Animals Fishing Conversation. That is Tuesday night. Captain Mike Anderson himself will be there at Bartow Ford, 6 to 8 p.m., talking about tarpon and beach snook fishing. You don't want to miss out. Again, Bartow Ford, June 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. There's going to be free food, free drinks, and going to be Real Animals swag being given away. There's going to be some Bull Bay rods given away. There's going to be some Engel Coolers stuff given away. Free Cuban food from Silver Ring Cafe. You don't want to miss out. Then June 15th at 6:30 p.m. we're going to be at Caddy's Treasure Island for our Salt Strong Insiders Fishing Seminar. You don't want to miss out on that either. That is June 15th, 6:30 p.m. in person, Caddy's Treasure Island. Then June 18th, Sunday, 2 p.m., we're going to be at the Tampa Bass Pro Shops, talking fishing, answering questions, giving away free trips. So June 18th, 2 p.m., Tampa Bass Pro. And then finally, don't forget, Friday night, June 30th, 6 to 9 p.m., of course, final Friday. Every last Friday of the month. Hopefully we'll see you there. So lots of great events coming up this month. And then this week, we've got our Gulf Council meeting, our Gulf of Mexico Fishery Management Council meeting this week. So I'm going to be busy with that in our busy red snapper season. So crazy week coming up, and we're excited. We're excited for sure. All right. Now, we talked a little bit about what we've been seeing. We've shown you some photos. We've given away a free trip. Let's get into some weather and talk a little bit about what's going on now and what we're seeing for this week coming up weather-wise. And then we're going to get into your questions. Remember, if you have a question, don't forget to text it into the phone number on the screen. Weather-wise, we're going to move over to the Hubbard's Marina website. Under fishing trips, we're going to go down to our weather links page. We're going to start on our 5 and 10 hour forecast area. We're going to look real quickly. You can see what we're seeing tomorrow. Tonight, really, it's going to start picking up. It already has started to pick up. Then it's going to kind of stay a little bit nautical through the day. Monday into Tuesday morning, calm down real nice. Tuesday's looking beautiful. Looks really good through the work week, through the weekend. Potentially might pick up a little bit there into next work week. But once we get through Monday, Tuesday, really Monday, Tuesday morning, it looks beautiful this week. We are seeing inshore almost 20 miles an hour gusts, 20-mile-an-hour gusts, well over 15 miles an hour tomorrow. So a little bumpy tomorrow, only about 2 foot inshore, 2.5 foot really. So not terrible inshore, in shallower waters. When I say inshore, I mean like Egmont Key, 16 to 20 miles. To Tuesday, looking much nicer during the day, sunny. On the backside of this low pressure, the backside of the full moon, fishing should be pretty darn good, and the wind is going to lay down pretty nicely for us Tuesday. So near shore fishing on the 10-hour should be pretty darn good Tuesday, and the weather looks like it's calming down just in time for that 10-hour departure. So I would suggest Tuesday's 10-hour if you are available, and we've got some super light loads on the 10-hour too. We've got, I believe, 24 people going out Tuesday, so lighter load, great weather, good fishing. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, into the work week next week looks absolutely beautiful. So really, really nice weather, really, really good fishing opportunities. Hopefully you can make it out there. Now, this was our Egmont Key forecast area. We're going to work our way offshore and look at the offshore report. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful conditions. Looking bumpy tomorrow, Monday, with, again, 15 to 20, calling some heavy rain chances in the morning, 3.5 foot on the St. Pete offshore buoy. Tuesday is a little rainy, but a little less windy, a little less bumpy. Wednesday, Thursday, all the way through the weekend, really, really nice on the St. Pete offshore buoy. So looking forward to that. And then the big reason why the extreme trip was canceled tomorrow is this bigger buoy a little bit further out in a little deeper water is really showing some heavy 4-foot seas tomorrow, solid 22 mile an hour winds, 4-foot seas, and some heavier rain chances. So some nastier weather to our west and northwest tomorrow morning. Offshore, well offshore. This is an east wind, so it's not going to be bad on the beach. It's going to look pretty nice tomorrow. It's going to be a little nice in the morning on the beach and really out to our nearshore area. But offshore with this east wind, it gets exponentially more rough the further offshore we go. And that's unfortunately why we had to cancel our extreme trip tomorrow. Real quick, we're going to look at the long-range forecast. We've got Captain Mike on hold, so hopefully he can hold on for a little second for us, but want to look at real quickly at this long-range model. On our ultimate storm forecast area, it looks like really in the clear for much of this upcoming work week. Once we get past Monday, again, not bad on the beach, inshore, nearshore Monday. Tuesday looks good. Then it looks real nice through the week here, looking real good. What's causing that wind to pick up out of the west? It doesn't go far enough into the future to show us, but right now, looking good all the way through this work week. I would say your best chance of fishing is going to be Tuesday through the work week, really, but Tuesday, I would say, is probably your best chance. Backside of the full moon, backside of this bad weather, and calming down nice. So I would say Tuesday is probably your best shot at some good fishing, but Tuesday and the rest of the work week and through the weekend looks beautiful. It's going to get hot. It's going to get, that water's going to get a little darker green inshore and nearshore. It's going to look more like that summertime water. I think some of that crystal clear Bahamas, Key West looking water is going to start disappearing on us. Mike, what's up, my man? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing good, my friend. Another night in paradise and enjoying the show here and getting rolling. What about you, my man? How's fishing going?
You know what? It was an interesting week with that weather coming in.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit about it on Saturday. Just late evening hill tides scheduled for tarpon fishing that we weren't able to get in just because some of the storms. I did talk to some guys who did good at Egmont and at the bridge, at the Skyway Bridge. So both locations are holding some tarpon. That beach snook bite is still pretty good. Just got to catch it right. The outgoing tide was much better, which again was late in the afternoon or early in the evening. So it'll be an interesting week as we move forward. Backside of the full moon, not my favorite time to fish, especially with some wind tomorrow, but we're going to get out there, chop some wood, and see if we can find them. I did get some pictures from a couple of my guys of some really big trout that were caught on the deeper grass flats. So that's a nice targetable species here as we enter, the first part of this week where we know it's going to be a little challenging.
They are already moving a little deeper with that warming water, huh?
Yeah. They're in like 5 to 8 foot of water now.
Nice.
So at least the bigger fish, you can still catch some of the smaller ones in a little shallower, but the bigger fish are in 5 to 8 foot of water. Moving water is the key. I like if you got any areas that you know of where there's decent grass near or in the passes. That's, again, it's kind of a thing that we pay attention to. Whenever you're on the moons, the full moon or the new moon, fish the passes. A lot of those fish go to the passes because of the extra moving water in the passes, especially as it warms up a little bit. Temperature's a little cooler in there. That water's moving through there pretty fast. So, creates a good opportunity to ambush prey and easy meals and all that good stuff. So that's what I'll be doing Monday and Tuesday for sure.
Yeah, the backside of the islands in Johns Pass, great opportunities because you got some serious grass flats, mangroves, and oyster bars, a lot of points and pockets and cuts, and it's right there in Johns Pass. So really good fishing, especially that north island of Johns Pass. It's kayakable as well.
Yeah, for sure.
What about tarpon? You seen any tarpon?
Yeah, that tarpon, the tarpon bite, like I said, was just kind of squashed a little bit for us. The morning bite wasn't great. There was a few fish hooked. We hooked some fish early. Didn't have great luck. The evening bites, if you could ride out the weather, was really, really good, which we kind of expected it to be. I had some customers that have been out with me for years. They weren't too keen on risking that weather, so they ended up canceling and rescheduling. But it's been good. A couple of guys I talked to did good. Like I said, Egmont was good, as was the Skyway Bridge. So around the moons, that's the crab flush. That's the bite. I heard the crab flush wasn't great, but it was good. And those fish, they went off on that crab bite, go figure. So I won't be tarpon fishing here on the backside of the moon, but we'll get ramped up. I've got a tarpon trip on Thursday evening. So hopefully we'll get some good weather and we can bounce a couple of them fish as that sun starts to go down in the evening off the beach.
All right. And so the full moon is typically a better outgoing tide bite?
Yes. Outgoing tide's usually better. That's why that bite was so good in the evening on the tarpon, because we had those big outgoing tides. So
you would say full moon outgoing, new moon.
I might say that from time to time.
New moon incoming is the rest.
New moon incoming, full moon outgoing. Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I just wanted to double check that was still true.
I know. Well, it's always got you confused. So I'm glad I'm here to keep you straight.
Oh, I appreciate it. So what would you be doing this week? Just focused on those trout? That would be your hot tip?
Well, I mean, I think you're going to be able to catch fish all week. Again, I'd still, because we're so close to that moon still, I would focus on the passes.
Okay.
Fish near the passes. Anywhere you've got any structure, any deep grass, like you said, points, coves, any of that stuff in and around the passes is going to be pretty productive. If you look at the tides, we've got some big water.
Yeah.
Super, super high tides are tough to fish because the fish can just spread out. Makes things difficult. A lot of soaking dead baits in the trees, waiting for fish to kind of find the bait versus live baits in particular spots. So it takes a little more patience, which is not my virtue, but we'll go into attack mode and try to make a week out of it and do the best we can. It's just, there's usually 14 really good days fishing a month, and there's 14 days that ain't so good. And now we're going to stretch into that where we got to grind a little bit to make it happen. You can still have some really good days, but you got to be patient, got to be kind of methodical, find that moving water and just sit and make your bites count when you get them. So if you're missing, opportunities at big fish, it'll hurt your numbers this time of the month.
Yeah. Got to make them count.
You got to make them count. Yep.
All right, brother. Well, we
Money
appreciate
shot.
it.
Money shot.
Money shot. Well, we appreciate it as always, and look forward to getting back after it maybe next week.
Absolutely. Keep up the good work, brother. We appreciate all you do for the fishing community, my friend.
I appreciate you as well. And everybody, make sure you check out Mike Tuesday night, Bartow Ford. Gonna be a good one for sure, as we talked about earlier.
6 to 8 p.m. It'll be a fun one. We're going to have some good food and talk a little smack. I can pick on you and Mahoney and everybody because you guys all got stuff going on. You can't be there, so it'll give me a good chance to talk some smack about you guys.
Good luck. All right, brother.
All right, my friend.
Have
a good night.
See you, man.
See you, buddy.
Always a pleasure checking in with our Inshore guru on the Inshore side of things. And you heard it. There's still some tarpon around really, really heavily. And we should see them last pretty well through July. They really hang out almost into August, depending on weather. So the tarpon are around heavy. Also inshore, we've been seeing around the past, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of pompano too. So we didn't really talk about that with Mike too heavily, but they're pretty active as well. So hopefully you'll get a chance to come out and take advantage of that. Now, we got to give away another free trip and get into some questions here. So let's get into, we gave away our 5-hour half day for 2. Let's do the 10-hour all day for 2 guests. 10-hour all day for 2 guests. Lucky winner is Bonnie Korniak. Congratulations, Bonnie. It is her birthday coming up, so she just won a free birthday fishing trip. She already had a free birthday trip, but now she gets another free trip for her birthday. Congratulations, Bonnie, and happy early birthday. What a great way to celebrate. Now, let's get into some questions. Hopefully you guys have some questions for us on the show tonight. Besides the super light 10-hour all-day trip opportunities this week with great weather, we also wanted to mention the super light load red snapper trips coming up. We've got June 6th, June 20th, and then I believe somewhere in July, I forget the date off the top of my head, I want to say July 10th are the super light load, limited load, 39-hour trips, where we've actually restricted the number of people that can go out with us. That is not July 10th. I don't know. It's June 10th, and Josh is going to look it up. June 6th. I'm going to stop guessing, because now I'm making it worse. I had the dates in front of me, and then I messed it up. So June 6th, and then the other light load dates are going to be June 20th, and let's see what the July date was. There it is, July 11th. So June 6th, June 20th, July 11th are limited load 39-hour trips. That means we limit it to 35 folks, 35 anglers, and currently Tuesday's trip, June 6th, is the 3rd long-range trips of red snapper season. It's only got 22 people on it. So extremely light load, great killer opportunity to get out there. June 20th has 30 folks on it, so still a light load, not quite as light as this Tuesday. And then the July 11th trip only has 16 currently booked. Now, these are more expensive because we're limiting the load of anglers, so it is $849 and there are no discounts. So definitely a little bit more expensive, but gonna be a really cool opportunity to get out there on that 39-hour, have more one-on-one time with the crew, and get an opportunity to have some extra elbow room during our red snapper season. So let's see what questions we have. What are the hours for the 12-hour trip? We have a 12-hour night snapper trip. That is Friday night, 7 p.m. to Saturday morning, 7 a.m. And then we've got a 12-hour extreme trip from 5 a.m. to 5 p.m. And that runs 70 to 100 miles out. We fish the middle grounds, the elbow, and surrounding areas. There is no specific trip that says, oh, we're going to fish the middle grounds. We fish the middle grounds, we fish the elbow, we fish surrounding areas. And generally for red snapper, we don't fish the middle grounds very often, if at all. We're mostly outside of the middle grounds for our red snapper season to provide us the best opportunity at catching a lot of red snapper. Craig Robinson, appreciate those 200 stars, my friend. Richard Bedwell with a big 500. Ashley Petit, appreciate you again. Thank you very much. Someone said, can't sign into Facebook. We've got quite a few numbers of folks watching on Facebook. Currently 214 people watching live on Facebook, so it seems to be working. Hopefully you can just refresh. You'll be able to get in there to Facebook. But YouTube is a great opportunity to watch there. And you can also watch on, of course, multiple different Facebook channels as well. Trovo, Twitch, TikTok even as well. Is Gag Grouper closed by region, state, or federal waters? Going to Mexico Beach July 4th. Gag Grouper is closed Gulf-wide, federal waters Gulf-wide. Anywhere in the Gulf of Mexico. It is only open on September 1st through November 10th. And that is anywhere you fish in the Gulf of Mexico, unfortunately. So Mexico Beach, they will still be closed July 4th. Twitch, too. Thank you, Angel. Appreciate it. So lots of opportunities to watch the show. If you're having some problems on Facebook personally. Let's see, what other questions do we have here tonight? It is the kickoff of red snapper season, so I'd be surprised if we don't see some red snapper questions. So someone was asking about the Hubbard's Marina chat bot. So Facebook changed the way Facebook does things again. And I thought it was a scam, too, because I was watching a Mike's Weather Page live, and it came up, it said Mike's Weather Page chatbot. And I was like, what's this? This is weird. This looks like a scam.
I literally just set it up.
Yeah, but we have a chatbot. It's Facebook's new thing. So it says Hubbard's Marina chatbot, and it kind of looks a little scammy, but it's not. Josh is actually entering in those chatbot messages. It's just Facebook's way of integrating some virtual technology. So don't be afraid. The Hubbard's Marina chatbot is not spam. It is sharing links that we are purposely telling it to share. What is the best rug to use for red snapper? So I assume that's best rig to use for red snapper, right? I would say the best rig for red snapper is literally any. Red snapper will bite a slow pitch jig. They will bite a quick, a fast jig, a fast pitch jig, a diamond jig, a squid, a threadfin, an octopus, a banana, a chicken wing, a piece of bonita, a live pinfish, pigfish, squirrelfish, redfish, bluefish, orangefish. Literally, red snapper, when they're fired up and they're feeding, they're going to bite anything you put down there. Anything that's in front of that red snapper, you're going to get a great opportunity at catching them. Bigger red snapper, they like bigger dead baits, bigger live baits. But I like fishing the cut thread fins and targeting mangrove snapper. You end up catching some pretty big red snapper along the way, and plentiful red snapper along the way. You can use a little bit bigger thread fin if you want to target a little bit bigger mangrove, a little bit bigger red snapper. You could even drop a big live bait down. You could cut up a bonita and use some big bonita strips for some opportunities at some big red snapper. Trying to stay off the bottom is a good idea. Dropping your bait a little slower is a good idea. You got plenty of yellowtails, vermilions, and big red snapper up in the water column too. That's going to keep your bait away from the bottom and some of those other smaller predators. And potentially, if you're dropping a big dead bait or big live bait, you don't want to hook into a big catch and release gag grouper, which could be a little frustrating. So keeping it up off the bottom is going to keep you away from that as well. Yeah, no bananas on the boat. It was just simply a reference to a funny YouTube video where someone catches a red snapper on a banana. So it is literally that easy to catch red snapper. Do you have a list of what the captain, or excuse me, so as far as the rig goes, I would use a slip lead, so an egg sinker, about 6 to 8 ounces, and then a swivel, about a 4 to 6 foot leader, and then a double snell hook if you're using dead bait, or a single hook if you're using live bait for those red snapper. That's going to be your rig setup. Do you have a list of what captain does what trip? Generally on the 12-hour extreme, it's going to be Captain Joe or Captain Rich. Joe is running 4 to 5 days. Rich is running 2 to 3 days. And then we've got Seabass filling in there, Captain Seabass, Seabiscuit, Sebastian filling in there as well. And then on the 39 and 44-hour trips, generally you're going to have Captain Garrett Tuesday, Captain Brian Friday, and then on Sunday it would either be Will, James, Captain Mark, Captain Dave. It could be a potpourri of different captains on Sunday. But going to be generally Garrett Tuesday, Brian Friday, and then one of those guys on Sunday. Let's see what other questions. My son and I are scheduled for the 12-hour extreme Thursday the 8th. Hope to see you when we return. Generally, the extreme trips, I am showing up right around 5:30, 6 a.m. After the gym in the morning, and then I am typically at home helping put the kids down by 5 p.m. I work generally about 5:30 to about 4 p.m. On average, 5:30 to 4:30 most of the time. So I try not to be home any later than 4:30, so that way I can at least see my kids for an hour and a half, 2 hours before they go to bed. So kind of a personal rule of thumb. So the extreme trip's one of those trips that's difficult for me to see folks, and also the 12-hour night snapper, because it leaves Friday night at 7:30, and then it gets back at Saturday morning at 7:30 or at 7 a.m. It leaves at Friday at 7, gets back Saturday morning, at 7 a.m., and I'm live on the radio then. So the 12-hour extreme, the 12-hour nights are two trips where it's hard for me to see folks before and after those trips. But you can always stop by. I'm virtually almost always there, except for Wednesday is kind of my sacred family day, and then Saturday I've got the Real Animals radio show in the morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. You can watch it live on our Facebook page, and then generally I'm out and about doing events and such. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Red snapper length, got to be 16 inches. You're allowed 2 per person per day, so they got to be 16 inches in the Gulf of Mexico. But you want to make sure you're keeping your red snappers. The problem that we run into sometimes is folks try to high grade, meaning they catch a 20, 24, 30-inch red snapper, and they're like, nah, I want to release this one. I don't want to keep it. I want to see I want to catch a bigger one, and then they end up not getting their limit. You want to avoid that. Just catch your red snapper. If it's big enough to keep it. And then move on to other fish, so you have a chance to target other species during the trip. You have a chance to catch your mangrove snapper. You have a chance to catch your red grouper, your yellowtails, your muttons, your porgies, your vermilions, your lanes. So I highly recommend to switch it up and just catch your red snapper and then start targeting other species. What kind of beer do you sell on the boat? We have Miller Lite, we have Bud, and also Bud Light as well. So we have 3 different beer options for you while offshore. Just remember, it's a fishing trip, and we're focused on fishing. But there's always some adult beverages to enjoy as well. And it's always good to have a nice cold Miller Lite or Bud Light while you're offshore. How big do red snapper get? So an average weight of a keeper fish is anywhere from, I would say, probably 4 to 8 pounds would be average. A big red snapper is 14 pounds to maybe 18 pounds. A large red snapper, real big trophy fish, is 18 to 24 pounds. And then something fish of a lifetime, 24 plus. We don't get many in our area, 24 plus. We do if you're fishing real deep. We see some 25, 26, 27, 28 pound fish. 30-pound red snapper most of the time are South Atlantic species. There's actually different families and gene pools of red snapper. The northern Gulf of Mexico, around Louisiana, and around South Carolina, North Carolina, in super deep water, 250, 300, 350 foot. That's where you see those big 28, 30, 32-pound red snapper. Josh, Google the world record, the IGFA world record red snapper. I want to say it's like north of 30 pounds. I think if I remember correctly. That's wrong. American red snapper, maybe? Oh, just look at that second one down, world records. That'll work. Yeah, database search, and then type in red snapper. It's really, really big. I remember it was American red snapper. You all right tonight, buddy? Holy moly. It isn't pulling up. That's weird. Maybe search by common name? Josh will keep looking at it while we're looking at. I'm surprised that it didn't pop right up. That seems like a really popular world record that it would be readily available. But let's see what our next question is, and we'll start chatting about a question, and we can keep looking. How deep was the 44-hour first red snapper trip? We're fishing anywhere for red snapper about 160 to about 200 foot of water on average. Deeper is going to be a little bit better. Generally we're fishing closer to 180 to 200, even upwards of 220, sometimes as deep as 250 for those red snapper. Kind of depends on the time of year, the time of the month, where we're at in the moon phase. Around a new moon, full moon, we're not going to go quite as deep because you run the risk of running into that heavy current. But it's going to be a little deeper for red snapper season, generally closer to that 200 foot mark on average. You want to start at least as deep as 120 foot to start finding those red snapper pretty heavily. You can catch them pretty normally, regularly, about 140 to 150 foot, but you want to be closer to 160 and beyond for some of those more average size fish. Those 6, 8, 10-pound fish are going to be closer to that 160, 180 and beyond. What is your process for scouting new spots and seeing how old spots are holding up? We generally fish an area and then move throughout that area and just go to spots that we know or that we fished in the past. And then you're always looking. You've always got your bottom machine on the whole ride out, the whole ride in. Anytime you're out there on the water, bottom machine's on, you're looking at the bottom. You're vigilant and you're finding new spots, new fish shows, new structures, and adding to your repertoire of fishing spots. What size mono top shot do you use on your braid? So I would always recommend fishing just monofilament. Monofilament works really, really well. You don't need braid. You don't need the mono top shot. If you fish braid, then you have to have a top shot, and it really kind of makes your fishing a little bit more technical, a little bit more tricky. It takes more time to tie that top shot. So fishing straight mono is going to be a lot easier, a lot simpler, and a lot easier on you to maintain. So mono works well. If you're fishing braid and you have to have a top shot, I would be using about a 30 to 40 foot top shot on a 39 or 44 hour trip. On a 12-hour extreme, every bit of around 30 foot is a good idea. 10 hour, maybe anywhere from 15 to 20 feet. And a half day, maybe only about 10 to 15 feet. You want to use generally about 1/3 of your line in the water to be top shot. You can go a little shorter if you're fishing around less people, a little less current, but you want to generally use a longer top shot. About 1/3 of your line in the water should be monofilament. And that's a good rule of thumb to make sure you're not losing fish. Because if you fish straight braid or a short top shot, there's no shock absorption in that line. And those fish can actually shake and pull and pull and pull, and they cut a bigger hole in the side of their face, and they can spit your hook on the way to the surface a lot easier. So using a little top shot adds a little shock absorber and is going to prevent that fish from spitting your hook as easily. Let's see here. What baits to use for the 12-hour extreme trip? I would be fishing the cut dead bait on the boat, the whole thread fin with the tail cut, a strip of squid, maybe an 8-inch strip of squid. You could buy some bonita and strip that out. You could use some whole squid from the office, maybe even a whole octopus from the office. We sell those baby octopus at times when we can get them. So all good options, but the dead cut or the thread fin, the whole thread fin with the tail cut is a really good option. Let's see, Daiwa Proteus XHF with Saltiga 50 2-speed with 60 or 80 pound braid. We'll get it done on the 12-hour extreme trip. Not familiar with the rod specifically, but if it's matched up to that reel well, for sure, that's Daiwa Saltiga LD 50 2-speed is what I'm using 9 out of 10 times when I'm offshore on a 12-hour extreme or 39-hour. I might switch to a 60 with a little heavier leader if I'm going after like some big gags, but for a red snapper, all day long, that Daiwa 50 LD 50 2-speed is awesome for sure. So yeah, the Vermilion snapper, a lot of people are texting us photos, screenshots of world records. So Bob Bowers looks right. 50 pounds, which seems really, really almost too big. Click on Bob Bauer up there, yeah. There's no picture. It just says 50 pounds, 4 ounces is a world record. I feel like that is almost too big, but I don't know. Bob, send us a link, man. I want to see that link. That's crazy. 50 pounds. The one that someone else sent of, what's that top one say? 9 pounds? No, the very top one. It's 7 pounds, 3 ounces. That's a Vermilion snapper. It's red in color. Man, our buddy Nick Haddad from Return 'em Right should be watching. He was in charge of IGFA records, and I feel like we are going to call him and berate him about how poor his database is. He used to work there at least, and you should be able to Google IGFA red snapper, and it should pop it up. So kind of disappointed in your skills, Nick Haddad. But Kyle Hopwood, appreciate those stars, my man. Let's see here. Let's give away the Hubbard swag pack. Answer a few more questions before we wrap up tonight. So the Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Let's see who the lucky winner is. Remember, send us your shirt size. Tony Barnes from Coral Springs. We have 2 Tony Barnes who watch the show. So Tony from Coral Springs, Florida, who always brings us nice gifts from his travels from Coral Springs, is the winner, the lucky winner of the random giveaway for the Hubbard's Marina swag pack. Remember, Tony, you got 5 minutes or less. Claim your free trip. Text us your full home address to the phone number on the screen, and make sure you include your shirt size. We'll get you that Hubbard's Marina swag pack out shortly. Is the scamp grouper bite still pretty good on the 39-hour trips? We catch scamp grouper year-round, and they're open year-round, and we generally see more of those scamp grouper and catch them more frequently when fishing deeper water. So generally, like April-ish, May, June, July, we see them pretty heavily because we're fishing a little bit deeper that time of year. September, October, November, really into September even, we're fishing deeper. October, November, December, we're fishing a little shallower historically for the gags. So generally going to be not seeing as many scamp when we're fishing a little shallower. And then February and March, during that 20-fathom closure, we're not fishing deeper, so we're not seeing them as much then. But January, we're catching them too. So definitely some good options for you, some good opportunities for you there. That's all the way right, I believe. Is it there? Yeah, there it is. So someone asked about the Johns Pass camera. It was fixed. It is fixed. It's working right now. It looked like it was frozen, but it's not. Their car just drove by. So the Johns Pass camera is working. We had some problems where our Johns Pass camera and our dock camera were down. But we've worked really hard, got a new computer, got a new stream up. So they were only down for about maybe 7 to 9 days. Then we got them up. We just had some problems with that new computer kind of shutting down the Hubbard's Marina cam on top of the parking garage. But I think we've worked it out. Josh has been working really hard and getting that dialed in. But if you see it paused, if you see any problems, don't be afraid to reach out, give our office a shout, and we'll make sure we get those straightened out for you. Big sheep's head by my dock. How can I get them to eat? Sheep's head are a little tricky. A lot of times when you can see them cruising, they can be a little bit finicky, and they're pretty leader shy, smart fish. So lighter tackle is a trick for sure. I would say probably 15-pound fluorocarbon, pretty small, like number one hook, and a small piece of shrimp. No shell on it, just a small little ball of shrimp, and cast that up the seawall in front of where that sheep's head is cruising. Make sure your shadow is away. Don't let your shadow get cast over the seawall or they're not going to eat. And then you're going to have a good shot at maybe hooking one. You can even use like half a shrimp, small fiddler crabs, but lighter tackle casting in front of where that fish is cruising is a good idea. What is the boat limit of red snapper consist in? How does that work? So a boat limit of red snapper means, for example, if you've got 50 anglers on a 39-hour trip, you're allowed 2 red snapper per day per person. On a 39-hour, you're allowed a 2-day limit. So that means normally if you are fishing on a 39-hour, you're allowed 2 red snapper per day. It's a 3-day trip, 2-day trip. You're allowed a 2-day bag limit. So you're allowed 4 red snapper on that 39-hour trip. So if we got 50 people, 50 times 4, that means a boat limit, meaning everybody on the boat had an opportunity to limit out, is a total of 200 red snapper. That's a boat limit. So it's a lot of fish. What happened to our trip tomorrow, June 5th? So we talked a little bit about the weather earlier in the show. Unfortunately, we had to cancel it. We had a tropical storm move past. Now it's a tropical depression, and it's definitely throwing us some 4-foot seas, some high rain chances. And when you're going 40 miles an hour and the Flying Hub 2 in a 40-foot boat, it definitely makes it really tricky to get out there really far, really fast. So we want to get you out there really far. We want to get you out there really fast. We want to have a good experience. And 4-foot seas isn't conducive to getting you out as far and as fast as we'd like. That east wind tomorrow and high rain chances is unfortunately causing us to cancel. And it really is frustrating to me to have to cancel trips. To me, it's a lose-lose situation, right? If we don't cancel and we take you out there, I think it was Friday, we got a bad review. We should have canceled the trip. They shouldn't have taken us out there. The water was too rough. They didn't have a good experience. So they were upset we took them. And then on the other hand, if we cancel because of weather, people are upset we cancel. So it's a lose-lose situation for us. How we do it and how we evaluate it is safety. And if we feel that the safety of the vessel, the safety of the anglers is in question, like we feel strongly the Flying Hub 2 going out there in 4-foot seas, and the last 4 days, it's been much more rough than they forecasted. So Friday, for example, they called 2.5, 2.8 foot, and it ended up being 5 to 7 foot. Saturday was the same thing. Sunday was the same thing. It was almost a foot or 2 foot higher, especially around the storms. So if they're forecasting 4-foot seas and a 20 to 25 mile an hour wind, and we know there's a chance of rain, so you add a storm on top of 4-foot seas, you're talking 6 to 8 foot. In a 40-foot boat, it's not great. On the 39-hour, that's offshore right now, on the Florida fishermen, that's nothing. And they can weather a storm like that, no big deal, on that big 70-foot long vessel that's just putzing around at 9 to 12 knots. They're not going 35 knots. So it's an unfortunate situation, but the weather is out of our control, right? We guarantee an excellent client experience with superior guest service, but we can't make the fish bite and we can't control the weather. We just unfortunately have to work with Mother Nature and know our limits, know the boat's limits, and try to make the best, most informed decision we can with weather forecasts at hand. So very frustrating. We had to cancel your trip, but it is a tough decision that we don't come to lightly, and no one's more frustrated than we are. Trust me. No one wants to take you fishing and make you happy more than I do. So it's definitely very frustrating. I get it. Holy cow. That's the world record. All right, we're going to have to pip this so you guys can see us.
He had 2 of them on.
Your mic's off.
He had 2 of them on, and he said the bigger one got away.
What? That's crazy. So that's a 50-pound. That's literally unbelievable. 50 pounds, 4 ounces. That's crazy. 2 at once, and the bigger one got away. That's amazing. I wish it said how deep he caught it. But, of course, they don't give you that kind of information. That's amazing. A 50-pound red snapper. The biggest one I've ever seen was 32 pounds, and that was a beast. I couldn't imagine seeing a 50-pound red snapper. What species have boat non-angler limits? So I would say Warsaw, it's 1 per boat. Speckled hind, 1 per boat per day. Cobia, 2 per boat. African pompano, 2 per boat. There's a few others that have what's called vessel limits. When I say a boat limit of red snapper, there is no boat limit. It's an angler limit, but we just call it a boat limit because we take the angler limit and multiply it by how many anglers on the boat, and we call it a boat limit. But there is no boat limit of red snapper, so sorry to be a little confusing. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Been a dream of mine to fish with you guys. Would love to come out. Oh, man, we'd love to have you out too, man. We have plenty of opportunities to get out there and do some fishing, that's for sure. And I appreciate you reaching out and appreciate the kind words. Let's see what other questions we have. See if we can get one more good one in before we wrap it up tonight. A lot of good questions. And let's go fishing. That's right. We got them all. We answered all the great questions. Well, appreciate you guys all tuning in and hanging out with us tonight. I have a Daiwa Seagate 40H. What rod should I match it with? You want to just make sure your rod matches your reel, right? So if you have a reel that has around, I believe the Seagate's like 28 pounds, 30 pounds of drag. So you'd have to double check that, but you'd want a rod to match up to that. So if you have a reel with 30 pounds of drag, a rod rated to around 20 to 40 pounds is a good idea. And then making sure you're putting about maybe 40, 50-pound line on that reel. If you have a reel with 40 pounds of drag, then you want a rod with 30, 50 pounds rating, maybe 30 to 80-pound rating. And you want line with maybe 50, 60-pound main line. What I see happen a lot is someone will get a reel that's 35 pounds of drag, put 80-pound line on it, and have a rod that's rated to 80 to 100 pounds. And it's just too stiff, too heavy a main line, and you lose a lot of sensitivity, you lose a lot of feel for the bite. Make sure that your rod is as big, if not a bigger investment than your reel. So if you're balling on a budget, as we like to say, and you're trying to save a little bit of money and not go for the high-end stuff, make sure when you're planning it out, budget as much, if not more, of your budget or your funds to your rod. If you buy a $200 reel, you should really have a $250, $300 reel, or rod, excuse me. If you buy a $100 reel, you should really have a $150, $200 rod. The rod is going to be what gives you the sensitivity to feel the bite. It's going to be what fights the fish. The reel is a mechanism to crank that fish in, and it has the drag, and the smoothness of the drag is really almost exponentially tied to the price of the reel. The more expensive the reel, the smoother the drag. The cheaper the reel, you can still get a cheap reel pen with drag ratings that are decent. It's just the drag is not going to be as smooth. It's not going to be as good. It's not going to be as progressive. Whereas you have like a Daiwa Saltiga drag with this specialized oil inside of it, this ATD drag. It's just incredible, and it gets smoother and progressively a little bit stronger over time, and it just really, really silky, buttery smooth, and that's what prevents that hook from pulling. So the reel is really just a tool that attaches to the rod that makes retrieving the fish possible. It has reel or gear ratios, it has a smooth drag, and it has some good power to it, but really the rod does most of the work. It gives you the feel, it fights the fish. So you want to make sure that you have a nice fishing pole to put that reel on for sure. Let's see. What other... we're out of time, aren't we? 35. We're 5 minutes over. Want to make sure we had another thing to... Oh, voting. Josh, thank you very much. Voting. Don't forget to vote. So we were nominated by USA Today as the best fishing charter in the country, and I'm 99% sure, thanks to your help, we won first place. That will be finalized June 9th, so we're waiting 5 more days to really celebrate, but I'm pretty sure we won first place for best fishing charter in the country. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys for making that possible. And I'm pretty sure we won third place for best boat tour in the country. Again, USA Today, so pretty awesome. However, Tampa Bay Times, TampaBay.com, has Tampa Bay's Best of the Best awards going on right now. And we were just nominated for the best fishing boat charter in Tampa Bay. We're also nominated Wild Seafood at Don's Dock. Wild Seafood Market at Don's Dock was nominated as the best seafood market. Hubbard's Marina and Wild Seafood Market at Don's Dock were nominated for a variety of other categories as well. So Josh is going to share the link in the chat. Make sure you check it out after the show. Make sure you vote. I need you to vote every day. The voting for Best of the Bay is Best of the Best. It's Tampa Bay, Best of the Best. The voting for that is open for, I believe, until June 21st, right, Josh? June 21st. So you can vote every day between now and June 21st. So make sure you do that. Oh, we're also local tourist attraction as well. So make sure you vote for Hubbard's Marina. Vote for Wild Seafood Market at Don's Dock. Help us to win another big award. We would appreciate it, guys. Thank you all for making this show possible. Really want to give a big shout out to our supporters in our supporters group who make a lot of this possible. Big thank you to all of those who send stars tonight and who have sent stars in the past. Really appreciate you guys as well. Thank you all for coming out and joining us and visiting us at Hubbard's Marina. Hopefully you enjoy our show. Hopefully you enjoy all the time and energy we put into our social media and online content. Hopefully you get some value out of it. If you do, make sure you tell a friend about Hubbard's Marina and our live shows and all the great live videos we do. Remember, we're live every morning around sunrise for Instagram and TikTok. We're live on Facebook, Trovo, Twitch, and YouTube a little after 8 a.m. each morning as well. Every Sunday night, we do this show at 7:30 p.m. Every Saturday morning, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., we've got our Real Animals radio show live on our Facebook page and Real Animals page. And then every Friday morning, we're live on Fox Channel 13 News as well. So tons of ways to connect with us. Make sure you stop on by and see us. And don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. And join us for our final Friday party. It's a ton of fun. We want to thank you for being a part of our Hubbard's Marina family. And we want to give you some free food, free beer, and free drinks. So that's June 30th, 6 to 9 p.m. Hopefully we'll see you out there. We have our supporters after show kicking off at 8:50 for the supporters after show. If you're a part of our supporters group, if you're not, you can become a supporter tonight. The link is right at the top of the page. So check it out. Don't forget, if you're too busy to go fishing, you're just too darn busy. We'll see you next week for another episode. Hopefully we'll see you out there on the water. Again, super light loads on our 10-hour this week. We got that super light load on the 39-hour Tuesday, and lots of opportunities to get out there. We'll see you on the water, guys. Let's see who the lucky winner is of our 39-hour trip for one lucky winner of that 39-hour trip. The winner is Willie Beadle. Is coming on the 11th. Well, congratulations, Willie. We'll see you soon. And don't forget, you got 5 minutes or less to claim that free trip. Text that phone number on the screen. Hopefully, we'll see you all on the water soon. Thank you for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you soon at Hubbard's Marina. Have a good night, y'all.